This is a CBS News special report. I'm Jeff Glor. President Trump and German Chancellor Angela Merkel are about to take questions at a joint appearance at the White House, and this comes hours after that historic meeting between the leaders of North and South Korea who pledged to work together moving forward. That meeting took place this morning, Korea time, as the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, crossed into South Korea for the first time. A leader did that in 65 years. Here's the president and Angela Merkel taking questions.
All right, we'll take some questions. Blake Berman, yes. Blake.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chancellor Merkel, I'll ask a couple questions of the president first. I want to ask you, let's step over, it's crowded in here. I want to ask you about a couple comments that you made in the Oval Office earlier, in which you said about North Korea that they've played the U.S. in the past like a fiddle, but that's not going to happen to us. Do you, as it relates to hopefully getting peace on the Korean Peninsula, denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, do you feel as if you need to be the closer in that deal? Do you want to be the closer in that deal, or do you think that's something that is shared by all of the major stakeholders, all of the world leaders within that region? And secondly, indulge us if you might, you said that the relationship with North Korea has been strong, or one of the words you used. Have you spoken with Kim Jong-un himself, or do you plan on speaking with him?
I don't want to comment on that.
Do you plan on speaking with him before?
We have a very good working relationship. We're setting up a meeting. Things have changed very radically from a few months ago. You know, the name calling and a lot of other things. We get a kick every once in a while out of the fact that I'll be watching people that failed so badly over the last 25 years explaining to me how to make a deal with North Korea. I get a big, big kick out of that. But we are doing very well. I think that something very dramatic could happen. They're treating us with great respect. And you know what's going on with South Korea, and I think President Moon of South Korea was very generous in saying that we helped make the Olympics a great success because of the fact that, as you know, there was a tremendous animosity, there was a tremendous problem going on, and all of a sudden people started buying tickets because whole different feeling when North said, we'd love to go to the Olympics. So a lot of good things are happening with respect to North Korea. President Obama told me when I had the one meeting with him, he said, that's your biggest problem. That's going to be the most difficult thing you have. And honestly, I wish it was handled earlier. I wish it were handled by another administration years ago. I'm not just talking about President Obama. I go back to any administration you want. But over the last 25 years, this should have been handled a long time ago, not now. This should not have been left for me to handle. But we will handle it. We're handling it well, and hopefully there'll be peace for North Korea, South Korea, Germany. I mean, everything is included. Japan, the Chancellor has been very helpful in the maximum pressure campaign, as I said, really very helpful. So have many other nations. President Xi of China has been really good at the border. Everyone's surprised at how tight he clamped down. Everyone said that he'd just talk about it, he wouldn't do it. Well, he did it, and he did it out of a relationship that we have, and also out of the fact that we're negotiating trade deals, and I think that's also very important to him. Hopefully we'll come up with something that's good for both countries. So I think some very good things can happen with respect to North Korea. We're setting up meetings now. We're down to 2 countries as to a site, and we'll let you know what that side is. Do you have a question for the Chancellor?
Just to follow up real quickly, do you feel like it's your responsibility for this to eventually get settled between North and South Korea?
I think I have a responsibility. I think other presidents should have done it. I think the responsibility has fallen on the shoulders of the President of the United States, and I think we have. I think I have a responsibility to see if I can do it. And if I can't do it, it'll be a very tough time for a lot of countries and a lot of people. It's certainly something that I hope I can do for the world. This is beyond the United States. This is a world problem, and it's something that I hope I'm able to do for the world. Okay? Please.
Thank you. And Chancellor,
Von der FAZ.
Chancellor Merkel.
Was? Ach so.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No worries. Thank you very much. I'm just wondering if you've been given any assurances that the European Union will be exempt from steel and aluminum tariffs come Tuesday, the May 1st deadline. Did President Trump tell you what he may or may not do? Thank you.
That question.
Der Präsident wird entscheiden.
The President will decide. That is very clear. We had an exchange of views on the current state of affairs of the negotiations and the respective assessments on where we stand on this. And the decision lies with the President.
Herr Ross.
Okay?
Mr. Ross, please.
Thank you. I have a question for the Chancellor, but I'd like to start with a question on Iran for you, Mr. President. After a long day of talks with you, President Macron went to Congress, warned of a new war in the Middle East, and asked the world and the United States to respect the sovereignty of all countries, including Iran. In the absence of a new agreement, are you prepared to use military force to rein in the nuclear program in Iran, or do you have another plan B that is not an agreement and not military force?
I don't talk about whether or not I'd use military force. It's not appropriate to be talking about. But I can tell you this. They will not be doing nuclear weapons. That I can tell you. Okay? They're not going to be doing nuclear weapons. You can bank on it. Okay. Please.
Frau Bundeskanzlerin, noch vor einem Jahr.
Madam Chancellor, only a year ago, people in Berlin were very much concerned about President Trump not being ready to show toughness against Russia. Now you've come to Washington with the concern that a new round of sanctions against the so-called oligarchs may well be detrimental to the German economy. Have you asked the President to exempt German companies from these sanctions? And are you generally worried that the United States, because the President is trying to be toughest with President Putin, may well change completely and may well be treating Russia too harshly without coordinating with you? Well, we discussed Ukraine, and here we work together very closely against the illegitimate actions of Russia due to, for example, annexation of Crimea and also the situation they caused in eastern Ukraine. I'm very pleased to say that we work very closely with the American administration in complementing the Minsk format. And the sanctions very much are a thing of the Congress, and we work together with the representative of the administration here also, and very closely with the Treasury. We exchange views on what sort of secondary effects that may have, and looking at the conflicts we have with Russia, for example, in Syria, there is a wide degree of agreement, and no one is interested in not having good relations with Russia. But wherever there are conflicts, wherever there are certain things happening, as for example in Ukraine, we have to call a spade, and the principle of territorial integrity of a country such as Ukraine is one that needs to be upheld and that needs to be enforced. But Madam Chancellor, the exchange, was it satisfactory on these issues between America and Europe? Is it as closely aligned as you want? Yes. Whenever I have questions, I can ask those questions, and I believe that the exchange is there. Again, sanctions have been adopted by Congress. We pointed out to what sort of effects that has. I believe that our finance minister and the Treasury have talked about this yesterday when they met with other finance ministers at the financing for Syria conference yesterday. And whenever I have problems, I can talk to our American counterparts.
Kennedy, please. CBN.
Here in the United States, also for many people in Germany, in Europe, America is a great country. And even though we may see matters differently on certain political issues, we have to address that. We have to talk about this. But this land of freedom, this great country, obviously.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Angela, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, you've been watching a news conference with the president and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. This comes the afternoon after that historic meeting between the leaders of North and South Korea. The president commented on discussions with North Korea, saying something very dramatic could happen. He did not say whether he has actually spoken to Kim Jong-un on the phone. Much more about all of this on your local news on this CBS station, on CBSN, streaming CBS News 24 hours a day, and right here tonight on the CBS Evening News. I'm Jeff Glor in New York. We'll see you then.
For news 24 hours a day, go to CBSNews.com.